We're back. And last time we did a tier list of WrestleMania main events. I'm Aaron from the North-South Connection. And this time we're going a bit different. Going the other way. We're going to do WrestleMania openers, tier list. I didn't include an F this time because as I was thinking about them, I thought there's not really many that are complete failures or whatnot. But, maybe I'll decide as we're going that that's not the case. The other thing I will say is that these I'm trying to rank not only in terms of being a good match or a bad match, but is it a good choice to open this particular show? And I think we'll base them kind of on that and see where it goes. We got a lot to get through this, and I think it'll be. I think this one will be a lot of fun. We'll see where it goes. I'd like to bunch of these if I can, with a bunch of different WrestleMania things. So here we are. Here's our list. And let's just get cracking right away. I'm going to open this up. Oh, and what I clicked on first. So this is the WrestleMania 14 Battle Royale, tag team Battle Royale with such luminaries as like Mark Henry and D'Lo and Kama, and a bunch of thrown together teams. The New Midnight Express with Bodacious Bard and Bombastic Bob, or the other way around. And the highlight, of course, was Sonny showing up with LOD 2000 in 1998. Obviously, makes total sense. LOD 2000 would show up in 1998. Of course it does. I think this is fun, but I'm going to go C. It's not really a great match by any stretch, but it's fun. It's a good reintroduction of them. Sonny looked great in her dinosaur skinned brassiere. I don't know what it is, but whatever. What's next? All right, so this is WrestleMania 8. This is WrestleMania 18. Rob Van Dam against William Regal. William Regal was the Intercontinental Champion at the time. He defeated Edge. Rob Van Dam is going for the belt. Rob Van Dam, in fairness, should have been in the main event of WrestleMania 18 in William Regal. All that to say, though, it's a good match. I'm going to put it as a B. It's a good opener in that it gives the crowd something to pop for right away. It's a good showcase for RVD. Regal's a pretty detestable villain. I like seeing him get kicked in the face. It's all good. WrestleMania 13. Okay, so this is the four-way tag team. So the Godwins, Henry and Phineas versus Doug Furnas and Phil LaFawn, who you'd think would be amazing. The Headbangers and the New Blackjacks. The picture here is Blackjack Bradshaw running into the ropes. I'm going to go D. And it's not really based on match quality. It's just, this is such a weird show. Like, there's just not enough going on to really, like, I couldn't else as the opener. Maybe the Rock and the Sultan. Rocky might be in the Sultan. I don't know. But it's a really tough show. You know what they could have opened with? They could have opened with Triple H Goldust. That would have been okay, I guess. But anyway, it's not a bad match. I just think it's a poor opener for a pretty maligned show. And I think if this show has a different opener, it's probably looked at a bit differently. Like, I ranked the main event very badly for WrestleMania 13. But, I mean, you got the Austin Bret Hart match. You've got the LOD and Ahmed kicking ass. So there's some fun stuff on the card. Maybe if it's laid out differently, we look at it differently. All right, WrestleMania 2. This is Paul Orndorff making eyes at Master Fuji, and he's fighting Don Morocco. It's a D. Yes, what I don't understand why he stopped at the eyes. Like, why not sing that whole verse from that Bare Naked Ladies song about the chicken? Why are we stopping there, right? Why aren't we blaming Master Fuji for viruses or such? Why just the eyes? Right? And by mocking the manager. I know Don Morocco's a laid-back guy, but he seems to have an affinity for Mr. Fuji. And if I'm walking around with one of my buddies and someone starts taunting, throwing racial slurs at them, I'm coming out, slapping at least. So I just don't see the point of it. Orndorff, I never liked him in white. Fuck Paul Orndorff in white. I like him in red. Blue, white, no thank you. And the eyes, I'm not going to do it, but, don't do that. And don't are Bare Naked Ladies canceled? I really hope not, because I kind of like that song. All right, WrestleMania 20. Oh, see, this one is. I'm gonna go A. WrestleMania 20. John Cena against the Big Show, and it's not that it's. I think it's a fine match. I can't remember where I have it. It might be a three and a half kind of thing. But it's to me, it's a perfect opener for this show. Big Show's the U.S. champion. He beat Eddie Guerrero. Which I remember at the time everyone was furious about that. And Cena's the up and comer. And a lot of in the way that Rob Van Dam beats Regal, I find this was a better display for Cena. He got to pick the Big Show up. It started really hot. MSG was really behind him. Like, I mean, I would put this ahead of better matches based on what it did for the show and getting it kicked off right. So yeah, John Cena, Big Show, WrestleMania 20. Let's go A, which is shocking to me a bit. This is WrestleMania 32. This is probably the best thing on WrestleMania 32. It's the battle. It's the ladder match between like 50 guys. And Zack Ryder wins the Intercontinental title. I guess I'm going to go A again on this. I think, man, like when you think that this is an A, what happened to the rest of the show? But I mean, it's just a really fun ladder match. It's involved. That needs to be involved. Everyone's pumped up, and Ryder winning was a major surprise and was interesting. They undid it the next night because we can't have anything nice, especially not Zack Ryder. We can't let him bang women or win titles. That's for John Cena and Miz. They get to do both. He only gets to do one at a time. Whatever. But I remember at the time thinking this, and despite Stardust's presence, thinking like, oh wow, like this show's gonna be good. Silly me. All right, who's this? Okay, this is it's WrestleMania 21. Picture's very small. WrestleMania 21. This is Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. This is the infamous one where he's fighting his mask the entire match. Guerrero. It's crazy to think that WrestleMania 21 is an incredible show, right? It's a truly incredible show. But imagine how much better it could have been if this delivers what these guys were capable of. Because, Eddie and Ray, it feels like it's an easy 4 stars, right? And maybe some people have it at that. I was just so distracted by the mask and him just we've all seen you. Just let it fall. It's fine. Maybe we'll like you more, right? Maybe we won't think you're like a tiny little puke. Maybe you don't look like a teenager anymore. I don't know. But it's a B. I wanted it to be better. It's not bad. I would definitely put it ahead of RVD and Regal as a match. Okay. The Godfather and D'Lo Brown against Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan. What a terrible fucking choice for an opener. I get it. You have Ice-T there. You want him to come out and sing Pimpin' Ain't Easy, Man. Pimpin' Ain't. You want him to sing that, which is fine. I'm on board in general with that idea. But I can't think of a worse match to start this card with than this. I would rather Head Cheese against TNA because at least there's a storyline and something beyond TNA. And I don't want to see the Big Boss Man anymore at this point. And yes, within a few years, I wouldn't have to see him at all. But at this point, he's really bringing down a card. And I want you to remember that if you watch this live, like I did, you watched like 10 hours of real footage beforehand. And then the first match, you're excited, and it's Ice-T leading the Godfather. The match is nothing. It's stupid. It's going in the D's. No good for me. Also in the D. No, I think this is okay. I'm going to go C on WrestleMania 15. That's Billy Gunn, noted hardcore wrestler Billy Gunn, defending the hardcore title against Bob Holly and Al Snow in a triple threat match. This is when they wanted to make WrestleMania unpredictable. Let's put the Intercontinental guy in the hardcore and the hardcore guy in the Intercontinental. And what it did, it's crazy. What it did is it just destroyed the credibility of both divisions. So, hey, can't win them all, right, Vince Russo? But the match itself is fine. It moves fast. It's a fine opener. There's nothing wrong with it. Intercontinental might have been better as an opener. I don't know. That's a weird card too, because the stuff that's really interesting, you wouldn't want to put X-Pac and Shane opening. Like there's enough story behind it, right? You wouldn't want to put Triple H Kane. So it's fine, I guess, for what it is. You don't want to put that stupid tag match because nobody's going to care about it. So yeah, no, that's good. See Hardcore Holly winning the title. All good. WrestleMania 22, one of my favorite WrestleManias. Big Show and Kane defending the tag team titles against Carlito and Chris Masters. It's just so nondescript. And I believe Carlito and Chris Masters turned on each other almost immediately. Not on this night, but almost immediately after. It's a poor choice for an opener on this night. Considering what you have coming up, you probably want to start with the Money in the Bank. Or you're just building one of those cards that's a complete crescendo. But as it stands, I think it's a poor opener. It's a fine match. I'm going to go see. I don't think it's horrible, but like, who cares about the Big Show and Kane in the tag division at this point? They're just this unbeatable team. And you know that Carlito and Masters can't beat them. Nobody can beat them. Who can beat them? Demolition couldn't beat them. All right. WrestleMania 19, my favorite WrestleMania. So this is Matt Hardy defending or is it, I forget who's defending now. I can't remember if it's Rey Mysterio or Matt Hardy defending the title. I know it's bad. I did research it before, but for some reason I'm blanking. So I'm going to check so I get it right. Apologies. Okay, so here's Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy has the championship. And I put it in the B, which is where it's going to go. Matt Hardy has championship. He's challenging against Rey Mysterio. I remember being shocked that Matt Hardy wins this match. It felt like a no-brainer to have Mysterio win the Cruiserweight title. Yeah, it was Cruiserweight at this point. But no, Matt Hardy kept it. And, that's great, because I thought this Matt Hardy character, when he's like fighting to lose the weight, there's something really interesting there. So I'm on board. But yeah, I mean, probably the best opener for this show, given what's coming. You're not putting Vince in. You're not putting the world title. You're not putting Austin Rock. You're not putting a Michaels Jericho. And the rest of the card, it's not bad. But maybe The Undertaker, but you wouldn't start with The Undertaker. So this is fine as a B opener. All right, WrestleMania 12. We get the six-man tag between Jake, Ahmed Johnson, and Yokozuna facing off against Vader, the Bulldog, and Owen Hart. This is a fun six-man tag. I think it's a really good start to the show. I'm going to go B on this one too. Just because, like, you have this, I mean, when you think back, WrestleMania 12 is challenged by the fact that one match takes up over an hour of the show, like all in with introductions and video packages, and probably looking at an hour 20, right, of a 3-hour show. So almost half the show is devoted to one match. So ideally, what I would like with a match like this, I'd like it to be split up so you'd see a bunch of different matches. But I get it, like the time was just so limited, and they really wanted to devote at least 5 to 10 minutes of Goldust in his underwear. Right or wrong, it's a choice. So this is fine. A fine use of all guys. It gets them all on the card. I wish they would have made Vader a bit stronger, but it is what it is. Jake is always going to pop the crowd. So is Ahmed at this point. So that's a good opener. It's decent. Tito Santana versus the Executioner. Look, the Executioner is going to after Tito's leg. I'm going to go after your leg. And then he talks about going after his leg in the pre-match promo, and then does not go after the leg once. So you can talk a big game, Executioner, but it's almost like if you're speaking, we know exactly what you're not going to do. Tito's great as usual, but this is it's just a match to heat up the crowd. I'm going to go C. It's not terrible. Because it's Tito and he's so exciting, it automatically gets the show off to a good start. But because it's heatless, it suffers a little bit. WrestleMania 23, the Money in the Bank that Kennedy wins. These are always good. This one is a little behind the 24 one the 25 one in my eyes. So I'm going to, you know what? I'm still going to keep this in A. I think this is a really good opener to a really good show. Kennedy was a worthy winner at the time. He's going to be a giant hypocrite. But no way to know that here. It really looked like he was going to win the championship. And I was happy because I liked Kennedy. I thought he was interesting. I liked his moveset. I liked the Packer plunge or whatever the fuck he called it, the Green Bay, Wisconsin jive. Sorry, whatever it is. But I enjoyed him. I enjoyed the mic stuff until they made it so sterilized that it was clearly. I liked when he when it was ad hoc. I'm going to take the mic and I'm going to say it, as opposed to like all of a sudden now there's a mic. There's a mic that's lowered from the ceiling for him, and it's an old style mic. So I wasn't into it then. But this is nonstop action, top to bottom. And it's a great show, and it really starts off well. WrestleMania 27. The first time they did this, the world heavyweight title with Edge defending against the Royal Rumble winner, Alberto Del Rio. So, Del Rio's got a gripe here. He was promised that if he won the biggest Royal Rumble of all time, he would be given the main event at WrestleMania. He was not. He was given the opener against Edge. And I'm curious if Edge doesn't find out his neck is fucked, if they put Del Rio over here. Like, I don't know the timeline of that. I don't really know the timeline of when he found out he had to retire. And if he did find out before the match, it's kind of crazy that he went on with the match. But it was such a deflating thing for Del Rio, who would win the title later in the year, but was never as hot. It's that same problem they have all the time, because they put him in the ladder match the next month against Christian when Edge vacates, and then Christian wins, and then Del Rio goes further down. Curious to see what would happen if Del Rio wins here and they let the trajectory go up. But it's a very good match. I don't know how good an opener it is. It's hard to open with a world title because it's a longer match. So I'm going to go in B as an opener, not as a match, but as an opener, because I think an opener for me needs to be something really exciting, fast-paced, athletic. That's what I'm kind of looking for with the all-time great openers, or that has a great story. But a lot of these openers don't. All right, this is Chris Jericho against William Regal. This is WrestleMania 17. Pretty much the same scenario as RVD Regal. Regal comes in as the champion. Hold on, I say that now, but I want to make sure I'm right. I'm pretty sure I'm right. These openers are hard. Like, they're not as hardwired into your brain as the main events are, at least mine. No, Chris Jericho was the champion. Okay. So Jericho was the champion defending against Regal. Jericho wins. Again, a really good opener. Like, I put it just a notch above Regal and RVD. So I think Jericho was just in the right place, whereas RVD was lower than he should have been. But in 2001, Jericho was in the mix of fighting for that Intercontinental title. It's not like RVD, who was, until November was in the main events, right? Jericho was not really in the main events at this point. That would come later. But for now, I think it's very solid. All right, another world title match at WrestleMania that opened was WrestleMania 28, when Sheamus defeated Daniel Bryan in, I don't know, 10 seconds, whatever it was, 17 seconds. He kicked him and pinned him. So there's an argument about this, that this is what launched Daniel Bryan's trajectory in terms of, becoming the super over character he became. I don't want to discount that, because I think there's probably some truth to that. I think the issue I have with the match is that it makes the card worse, right? It makes it memorable, but it makes it worse in that, like, what these guys can do. They do it the next month. They have one of the best matches of all time, right? In the 2 out of 3 falls match. But they intentionally take away that match from this card. And watching it live and watching the crowd live, it's different now in retrospect when you know what's happening. But watching this live and being invested, the next 2 matches were thoughts for the crowd. No one cared about Orton and Kane, and nobody cared about Big Show and Cody. And it's because of this. So I don't think it's a failure as an opener, because it's super memorable, but I can't put it high. So I'm going to put it in as a C tier. We're really not going anywhere near the S's. JBL and Finlay from WrestleMania 24. Really interesting choice. We're going to start with this tough brawl as opposed to anything else. I'll always pop at JBL throwing that garbage can at Hornswoggle. He has just no regard for his safety. It's right at his face. It hits him hard. But in the end, when you look at this card, the Money in the Bank, maybe they shouldn't want to do the Money in the Bank year after year. People are into it. People aren't as into these characters, some of the other characters on the show. I'm going to go C, but kind of the top of the C for an opener. Let's do WrestleMania 26 of 2010. This is John Morrison and R-Truth against, is it R-Truth? My God. I find that these pictures, I struggle with the pictures because they're small and I'm old apparently, um, and I struggle with that, and my memory is just not what it was. Yeah, it's John Morthorpe. That's what I saw. They're fighting Show Miz, so Big Show and the Miz. It's not a B. I left it there by accident. I would go probably a solid D on this one. It's completely forgettable. There's nothing going on in it, and Morrison's really over. Truth is somewhat over. Big Show and Show Miz, whatever. Big Show Miz, whatever. It's not the worst of the D's. It's probably the top, but not super fun. WrestleMania 29. So this is Orton, Sheamus, and the Big Show opener. I don't think it's a quite S tier because the match doesn't go to like that next gear that a lot of those other Shield matches do. But I'm going to go A. I think this is a really great start to the show. And it's funny, right? A show like WrestleMania 29, in a lot of ways, it's comparable to WrestleMania 32, and then it starts really well. And you're going to, oh, okay, this is going to be a really good show. And then it just kind of goes off the rails a little bit. It's a great showcase for Reigns, Ambrose, and Rollins. Sheamus and Orton are incredible during this run, and Big Show is keeping up, and that's all I need from him is to keep up. So I'm happy with that. Let's do WrestleMania 12. 11. The Allied Powers, Lex Luger and David Boy Smith against Jacob and Eli, the Blue Brothers. Look, the best thing about this match is hearing the Allied Powers theme. Which is the great mashup of Luger and Lex Luger and British Bulldogs music. And if anyone ever picks that in a draft, when you're talking about theme songs from them to win easily. But it's not a great match. I'm going to put it at the bottom of the C's, though, because when I look at that card, I can't think of anything that would be a better opener. It's one of those weird cards. I don't think it's a terrible show, but you put the Intercontinental with Razor and Jarrett, and you have nothing of substance in the middle. You can't put Undertaker, you know. You're not putting the world title. You're not putting LT. It ends up being the best choice, which is why it's not a D tier show. WrestleMania 25, the CM Punk, the second CM Punk Money in the Bank win. I remember loving this match live. I'm going to put it pretty high. I put it as an A still. It feels like a... No, I'm going to put it as an A because I think the S ones here are really special, and I think they deserve to be that notch higher. But this one's great. I remember just falling in love with Kofi Kingston. He's using the two ladders to kind of jump up one by one. The Punk win for the second year in a row I found very shocking. If I'm not mistaken, this is the one that Jeff Hardy was supposed to win, but then he got suspended or something. Oh no, Jeff Hardy's on the card, so that was the year before. I don't know why they gave it to Punk again after like bitching him out the year before, but who knows? Who knows why they do what they do? They're a creative genius and $1 billion company, and I'm just a guy on a PC computer. It's my life. All right, let's give a big one. Triple H against Daniel Bryan, opener of WrestleMania 30. S tier. Triple H's best singles match in my eyes, especially, well, definitely his best singles match with no bells and whistles, right? It's just a singles match. I love it. I think Triple H is so good in this. And you know how if you've watched any of my other stuff, you know how critical I am of Triple H. Daniel Bryan's on fire. The crowd is molten. And it really tells that perfect story of Bryan standing up to this bully. And then he beats him. He beats him clean, and they beat him up after the match. I got no issue with that. All-time opener. WrestleMania 30 is an all-time show. So this is a great thing. The WrestleMania 30, right? It's really considered in the upper echelon. But then when you break it down match by match, it doesn't seem that good or great. But that's the advantage of starting with such a good match. Like when we talked about WrestleMania 13 and how the opener wasn't great and started us off kind of behind. Well, this did the opposite. And so later things get forgiven because you've started on such a good jump. 28 is similar. Like you're depressed for the first three matches. You're like, fuck, they're doing this again. WrestleMania 37, night 2. The Fiend against Randy Orton. What's in the box? And not only what's in the box, this was the night that there was a giant fucking box brought down to ringside, and Michael Cole had the fucking balls to say, huh, that's a box-like structure. It's not a box-like structure. It's a box. We can call it a box or a present or a crate, not a box-like structure. Oh, you're typing on a computer-like device. No, it's a computer. You're speaking in a phone-like device. No, it's a phone. Can we just call things what they are? And why do we need all this supernatural shit? Orton burns him up, he comes back. Why? He should be dead. He should be dead from burns. Okay? I'm not watching this show to watch a horror movie. And I love Randy Orton. He's amazing. This is a D, and it's the worst one so far. WrestleMania 33. This is 2017. AJ Styles, Shane McMahon, way better than it had any right to be. I remember thinking like, oh, they're putting this is AJ's first WrestleMania. They gave him a Shane. Ugh. But I guess you spent the better year of WWF champion. You got to fight another main eventer at the show. It's a good match though. I'm gonna go B, the middle of the B's. It's fun stuff. AJ's good. Shane holds up his end. This is not inspiring, but whatever. Who cares? Who cares? All right. WrestleMania 8, Shawn Michaels, Tito Santana. C veering on D. Because considering who's there, you would expect it to be good. The best parts of the match are Shawn's jacket, Sherry's clothing, Brain calling her Reba McEntire, Tito's sister. These are the only good things, and one of them is overtly, I don't know if it's overtly racist. At best, it's culturally insensitive. At worst, he's a complete bigot, but I don't think the Brain's a bigot. Big bigot Brain, some alliteration. The match is not what it could be. It's probably like a 2 3/4. The ending is weird too, with him hanging on to the rope and falling. So, is a D. All right. Let's get the other ladder match out of the way. There were WrestleMania 31 ladder match. I think this one's really exceptional. I'm going to go top of the A's with this one. This is the one, I believe Luke Harper comes in as champion for this one. And everybody in this match is so good. And it comes down to Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler on the ladder, and that's where they're headbutting the shit out of each other. That's the moment where if you've argued, Bryan couldn't have been in the main event against Brock. He had all these problems. Well, he bashed his head against another man's head multiple times until one of them fell. But I think it's a great opener. It gives you a big pop with Bryan, lots of action, tons of fun, really brilliantly done. So WrestleMania 31, one of the best openers of all time. WrestleMania 32. So this is the COVID. Rhea Ripley defending her title against Charlotte Flair. I love that Charlotte Flair won the Rumble and went after the NXT title. I think that's so cool. And best match of the weekend in terms of what was on that show. And it's hard to have a good match with no crowd. But there wasn't all this bullshit play acting. They didn't phone it in the way Brock and McIntyre did. They went out and had their match, and their match was great. So I'm putting this A tier. I really liked it. Charlotte Flair is amazing. And this is the Rhea Ripley I want to get back. Rhea Ripley that just kicks ass. And we're getting it now with the mommy stuff. But I think it took a while to get here. But this is indicative of what she can do, and I love it. Oh, WrestleMania 38? No, 34. Excuse me. All these numbers. So you start to know them by year, right? This is The Miz defending the Intercontinental title against Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. This is an under-the-radar great opener. I'd say a 4-star match, so great match. Miz doesn't have a ton of 4-star matches, but this is one of them. Balor's great. Seth winning, great pop. I remember him spinning the belt. But this was a tremendous way to start the show. The show kind of went up and down from there. But I love this. I'm going A tier again with this. Probably there like that between the CM Punk second win and Cena Big Show. But really fun stuff. The pandemic one, which is the Kabuki Warriors defending against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. It's fine. It's a C. It's just not that interesting. And it should be, but it just all depends on what your view of Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are. Like, I think the Kabuki Warriors are legitimately a really interesting and great team. right? Because they're both incredible in the ring. They both are interesting characters, interesting enough anyway. Whereas Bliss and Cross are like the two best friends, but Cross doesn't know how to play real, and a Bliss can kind of veer into that complete bullshit sometimes. So all that to be said, they won the titles, which is fine, but I just think it doesn't click, and it starts the whole weekend off with a bit of a grunt, right? It's not a great weekend to begin with because the pandemic. It's strange, it's weird, but they probably could have started stronger with this one. The next year they did much better on night 2, which was Otis and Gable against the Street Profits against Orton and Riddle, RK Bro. I'm going B. I really like the match. I think it's a lot of fun. It is a really effective opener. I wish it had a bit more time and a little less of the Street Profits theatrics. But Chad Gable's so good, and Riddle and Orton were just such a hot act. So let's go B with that. Battle Royal, WrestleMania 4, 20-man Battle Royal. I know Jesse at the time was like, it's not about this, it's about the tournament, which I guess it was. I'll always remember George Steele on the outside of the ring, not getting in. Just all the losers, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but just all, like, if you're not included in that tournament, you can't help but kind of be viewed as either a tag guy or someone's just not there yet, right? And, it comes down to Bret Hart and Bad News, and then they eliminate Junkyard Dog together. And then Bad News turns on Bret. Bret smashed the trophy. So it's pretty memorable. I'm going to put it in the C. I'll never forget this. And maybe it's because like, I think WrestleMania 4 was one of the first. It wasn't the first, but it's one of the first tapes I'd rent all the time. And it was always the first match. And a Battle Royal is so easy to get into. It's fun. It's light. It gets you popping. So, and this gave you kind of the double and triple pops. You pop for your guys. You pop for a different kind of pop for the turn on Bret. And then you get the big pop when he smashes the trophy. So I think all of it's pretty fun. Who's this? Oh, this is this year's. Geez, day 1 of this year's. Yeah, it was day 1. It was Nakamura and Boogs against the Usos. And this was a crying shame that this happened the way it did, because this had the potential to be great based on who was in it. And then Boogs gets hurt and they have to go home early or whatever. I'm going to put it as a D just because of that, because you never want to start the night on a oh no. Yeah, this is night 1 and RK Bros night 2. You never want to start the night on an oh no. Is this guy really hurt? Again, it's not their fault. I just don't think it's an effective opener. But it was the right choice because it could have been a very effective opener. WrestleMania 3, the Can-Am Connection against Don Morocco and Bob Orton. This is pretty good. The problem with all the other matches on that show is that they're all blood feuds for the most part. Like Race and Junkyard Dog's a blood feud. Steamboat Savage for a title and a blood feud. Hogan Andre is Hogan Andre. Piper Adonis is a blood feud. You don't want to put the Bees and Volkov and Sheik. You don't want to put one of the squash matches and Bundy against Hillbilly Jim and the Little People. That's an attraction. So you don't want to start that. So they're kind of pigeonholed into having, I guess what you could have put as the opener instead is, even though it's a blood feud, is Danny Davis and the Hearts against Santana and the Bulldogs. That probably would have been a better opener, but then you would have had to find room for this. Anyway, I don't think it's bad. I'm going to go C tier. It's not D. It's effective. People like the Can-Ams. They hated Morocco and Orton enough to boo them. Fun stuff. C tier. All right, 6. Rick Martel against Coco Beware. I'm going to go top of the D. Again, it's not bad. It's like, why are we starting with a squash match with a not so popular heel against a pretty, and then he crushes a pretty popular face. I get they're sending Coco out to kind of warm up the crowd and whatnot, but I don't like the idea of starting with these squashes. So it's a fine match. I just don't think it's the choice I take issue with. You could have probably started with tag titles. I think it's the second match. You could have started with Dusty and Sapphire against Savage and Sherry. You could have started with those, and I think you would have been okay. WrestleMania 6, again, it suffers a little bit from not having an Intercontinental title match on its own. But again, I just think they could have done better. So it's not a slight against Martel, who I really like. It's more just the choice. WrestleMania 7, the Rockers against the Faces of Fear. I'm going high B on this one, but like really high B. This is a great kickoff to this show. High energy. Really felt at the time like, oh, the Rockers are the next tag champs. Never happened. Since one of them needed a haircut. But also, when you think back, oh, maybe the Heart should have defended against the Rockers. Then where does it leave the Face of Fear? When you look at that tag division, they just really felt like the next guys, and then it just never happened. But these guys, it's a great styles clash. It's power against speed and finesse. I thoroughly enjoyed it, start to finish. And a rare Rockers win. So I'm on board with that too. Let's get this out of the way. Tatanka, Shawn Michaels. That's C or D. It's hard. This is a hard one. I'm going to go D. From the perspective of, again, it's not, when I look at the Ds that I have, it's probably the best physical match of the Ds. There's no supernatural shit. There's no box-like structures. There's a woman-like creature on the outside. What is that? WrestleMania 9 is a weird show because it's just nothing but fuck finishes, start to finish. I would say more so than like Hogan winning or the tag match. It's like every fine. The Doink cheats, Luger cheats, DiBiase and IRS escape at the titles. There's chloroform. Brett loses, and then Yoko. Like every match has some. The real clean finishes are the Steiners beating the Head Shrinkers and the fighter Razor Ramon beating the wrestler with wrestling and Bob Backlund. But this match is just disappointing. Tatanka was so hot. Michaels, in theory, was a hated champion. Probably the time to drop the title to him. But they go out and deliver a fucking boring match. And I've talked about this a lot with my buddy Marcus. I think 93 is Michaels' like really low-key worst year ever. And this one doesn't help him. Rollins, Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 35, 2019. I get fucked up with the dates because like 35 is 19, 34 is 18. Anyway, they put this on first, and they do the whole promo before where Brock comes out and says, if I'm not main eventing, I'm going on first, which at the time, because I was at this one live, I was very excited for. It's quick. I think they do go a bit cheap, which is the continual nut shots. But the crowd is like molten for it. It's a big win for Rollins. I'm going to go B's again. It's just not quite there. And when you think of what these two guys could do, that's kind of where it's at. All right, there's two left. Well, let's deal with this one. So this is WrestleMania 37. This was day one, but the first time they had a crowd back. Vince came out and was like, the crowd, well, the wrestlers are waiting for you in the crowd. Anyway, I love this match. I think this match is an incredible opener. It's just two fucking guys going. It's funny because I talked about Del Rio and Edge being like, what? I don't know about starting the show with a title match because they tend to be longer. But it's okay in this instance because these guys are 2 minutes or whatever it is. Surprise Lashley won, but I love this. I thought it was a great start to the show. Great showing for Drew. And I love that they kept the belt on Lashley. So I'm going to go high A. High A during on S. And then the last, you know what we're dealing with. Bret Hart, Owen Hart. Look, one of the greatest matches of all time. It's a clear S. But it's not the top one. I know it's kind of a controversial opinion. But I'm keeping Daniel Bryan and Triple H as the greatest opener of all time. And I thought about this a lot. And what it comes down to is I feel like the in-ring action is actually really close for both. Bret and Owen, what's interesting about it is both guys are kind of wrestling two different styles. Like Owen's trying to hurt Bret. Bret's just trying to wrestle him and beat him and show him he's better. There's a lot of great character stuff going on with that. But Triple H and Brian, it's very similar. It's exactly. So I think the match, the physical quality of the match is almost a toss up. I would say also that the character work beforehand again is almost a toss up, and that might seem blasphemous, but like Bret Hart and Owen Hart is a classic story. But by this point, this was the match that needed to happen to get Brian to the next level. And it's based on the culmination of everything that's happened since SummerSlam. SummerSlam, it was Triple H who fucked him out of the belt. And here he is. He needs to get by Triple H to get to the main event. So I think the storylines, again, are both really right there. I just think they're really close. To me, what puts Triple H and Brian that tad ahead, there's two things. Number one is the stakes. I think the stakes are way higher for Brian and Triple H. Brian needs to win to go on to the main event. If Triple H wins, we get the fucking Evolution main event, which nobody wanted. If Owen or Bret win, it doesn't really do anything. Owen needed to win it more than Bret because it established him. But going into it and watching it, the stakes just aren't the same. And number two is the crowd reaction. So again, the Bret Hart Owen match, the crowd reactions are great, but they are so into Triple H, Brian. Both. I mean, they're jumping up and down. They're totally invested. It's just like, it just nudges it. It's just a little nudge. Like when I did my top 100 matches of all time for the Place to Be Nation WWE matches, I had them one after the other because I really do think it's that close. And I know it might seem blasphemous to edge H match, considering I like Bret Hart way more than Triple H. But I got to give the man his due that he did an amazing job this night. Daniel Bryan is as good a worker as anybody. So that's why I got it there. That's my list. Only two in the S, Brian Triple H and Bret Owen. The D's, Michaels Tatanka, Martel Coco, the Boogs disaster, WrestleMania 26 bullshit, 2010. The 13 clusterfuck, racist Paul Orndorff, Pimpin' Ain't Easy, and box-like structure are the D's. I should have made an F and put the box-like structure in. You get the idea. I hope you enjoyed this list. Let me know what you think. You know, where am I right? Where am I wrong? Should I shut up? There's a lot of that going around too. But listen, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. I'll try to get a few more of these out. I'm Aaron at Aaron D Justice on Twitter. Check out everything at the North South Connection, video, audio, everything. Thanks again. Have fun at WrestleMania.